Good morning, it's 8:30. Welcome to the Wednesday, August, I can't believe it's August, second meeting of Board of the Franklin County Commissioners.
Commissioner Sotomayor,
Present.
Commissioner Harris,
Present.
Chair Dickinson,
Present?
Commissioner Dunn,
Present.
Vice Chair Waymeyer.
Present.
Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Do we have any correspondence or organizational business?
I don't believe so.
Do we have any public comment today? All right. Our consent agenda consists of minutes from our meeting on July 26th, claim vouchers in the amount of $332,507.91, and tax change orders in the amount of $24,902.26.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Second.
Commissioner Sotomayor,
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Yes.
Chair Dickinson.
Yes. Our first item of business is to discuss and consider for approval the 2023 TGT sponsorship application from Wellsville Chamber of Commerce for $3,000 to help fund a Wellsville tourism brochure.
Thanks, Ian. Christina couldn't be here today, so I'm going to take this item. You may recall back when we did TGT sponsorship applications, the Wellsville Chamber requested $25,000 for a digital sign, and the Board of Commissioners didn't approve that at that time, and discussion was had that led to them coming back with this request. The cover sheet speaks for itself. This is for basically a brochure. My understanding, it's about a 16-page document. They want to produce around 3,000 of them, put it in Burt's and Casey's for folks that come into the community, and they're just looking for some help with that. Would love to have your thoughts.
I guess I can give a little background on it. They've been working on this for quite a while. It isn't something they're going to try and develop once it happens. They've already got it all laid out and everything, how they want to do it. And they've already made all the arrangements for the printers and all the documents that need to be done. It just, when they was thinking about different funding ways, they knew they'd applied for the other. We talked about giving them $5,000 if they was going to go ahead. Well, they can't. They don't have the money to come up with that, but they think this is the very next best thing and maybe better to do a tourism guide. And it'd be 16 pages long. It's just not a little thing. And I've already seen part of it, and thought probably be a good use of tourism funds. It's what it's going to be about. And they would like to have copies they can hand out to people moving into the community. I know the superintendent of schools there said, and maybe the other schools too, would like to have something to hand out to new people moving into their school district and give it to them so they got a good idea of, what's going on in Franklin County and Wellsville.
And I would just point out that this is clearly a legal use of TGT funds. It's appropriate. We have the funds to be able to do it. The question is just, do the five of you see this as the highest and best use, or a use that you want to support?
Any other thoughts?
Well, I imagine I probably have a little bit more besides just Wellsville in this brochure up top. I think Don explained it pretty well, and I think I'll make a motion to approve it. I'll second it.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Waymeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre,
Abstain.
Chair Dickinson.
I will vote yes. It's nice to support different areas of our county. All right, the second item of the agenda is consider for approval an emergency disaster declaration.
Yeah, this is something you all have unfortunately had to do many times before. I believe most recently was during the pandemic, which was a little bit different. I've always thought that declaring a disaster sounds provocative, but this is really largely for legal procedural purposes. This is what opens up avenues for us to receive state and federal reimbursement for our expenses and cleaning up the effects of the storm. And this would include potentially the cities in the community and their expenses, as well as other organizations. Like I know ORC's been operating a cooling center, and anything that they are doing above and beyond what they would normally do would be potentially a reimbursable expense through the state or federal government. So this is a no-brainer. Normally, this would be Tom, but Tom's on vacation, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have about it.
Any other questions or discussions?
No questions, but it's one of the things that, there's a lot more out there than we realize that's happening to some people, because maybe we didn't get hit, or maybe it's not real visible like a tornado or something. But there's a lot of people even without power even yet, and a lot of businesses is without power yet. And water district down there was shut down, and I don't even know what else, out there. So it's a good avenue to open up to people to make that available to them. And why shouldn't we?
It's only, is it, so the reimbursement is only available to government entities, is that correct? Or, I mean, like, so businesses that can't open because they don't have electricity, that doesn't, it's really not money available for them?
I don't believe
I don't
so.
think so either.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
All right. An affirmative motion in support of this item would go as follows. I make a motion to approve emergency disaster declaration number. Do we have a number?
2301.
2301. Hopefully it's the only one in 23.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Chair Dickinson?
Yes. All right, that concludes our business. We'll move on to staff reports.
Appreciate that, Ian. Potentially one more item of business. You had indicated last week, you brought up United Way, and we said we were going to bring that back today. Just want to put that back on your radar. By now, I suspect you all have had the opportunity to review their packet of information. They are requesting, I mean, you could explain it better than I could, Ian, but county help with operating a phone line is my understanding, and would just like some feedback from the five of you on if that's something you want to support.
Yeah, basically, this is not money that's going to go to support any of the agencies that they support. This is just the emergency phone line that people call when they need help in any area. And I know the sheriff actually stopped and talked to me a couple of weeks ago and said that the guy that answers that phone is really good about, if somebody's already called, to kind of weed, making sure that they aren't, going to every agency saying, no, you've already called. Or so anyway, he said he thought that was worth the $800 right there. But anyway, it's really,
Yeah,
as far as,
and you touched on it, but for perspective, this is under $1,000.
Right.
It's not a great sum of money. The nature of the discussion that's been had, and I think the reluctance, if any, that's been demonstrated, is would this lead to a cascade of other requests? I think anytime we broaden our pool of community partners, it's worth at least contemplating that. But from a financial perspective, this is not something that is, we feel like we can't or shouldn't do.
The concern I had was a lot of our employees are contributing to United Way with payroll deductions. So I think the county has been very supportive of United Way.
I think you would be surprised how many employees there are because people don't do that anymore. There's probably maybe,
Well, I don't know how many.
yeah, I don't think there's any,
I think
or just maybe a couple.
several do anyway.
Well, if it's something there's interest in, I would just ask for a motion to approve United Way's request for help with operating their phone line in an amount not to exceed $1,000. And that's, I don't have their specific ask right in front of me, but that would cover it. I'm certain of that.
This going to be an ongoing thing?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Most probably, if you do it, so $1,000.
Yeah, I do think you'd probably pick up another community partner for sure.
But they're gonna come before us each year.
Yeah, timely, yeah.
It's not a, ongoing, but they still need to request.
Right.
And if we change our mind and see that it's not yet, we can always change our mind.
I don't know that my concern would be a cascade per se of new community partners, but I think we need to do a better job about being disciplined as far as, it's not enough just to find something and say, oh, that's nice, we should give them money. I mean, ultimately, it's, it feels good to give away other people's money, but that's taxpayer dollars. It's not ours. And if that is a higher and better use or a good use, then what do we prioritize that more than? Is it more important than something else we do? Do we need to, I guess we can't just keep adding. At some point we need to, just like your own budget at home, like what's the most important thing to me? What does the best? That's a harder decision to make. But I don't want to get to the point where we, keep saying, oh, that's a nice thing, we should do that, when it's not our money. I guess that's more what I struggle with. The amount's not much. It's, and I do think it is a good use, so.
Does anybody want to make a motion to approve?
You might ask one more time.
One more time, anybody want to make a motion to approve? All right.
Okay.
That does not mean that they can't come back,
Correct.
submit another application next year, so we'll encourage them to do that, I guess. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Oh, yeah. A couple more things.
Okay.
Roy brought to my attention not too long ago, we have the opportunity to, and it may not still be open, but we have the opportunity to acquire a billboard or use a billboard between Ottawa and Wellsville. As you know, we do have one up north, but it's outside of Wellsville, up near the county line. I have asked several of our staff members. I don't know that I don't have a need to change what we're doing, but I wanted to ask the five of you, would you see any benefit in having a billboard closer to the city limits of Ottawa? What we currently advertise, I believe, is the Visitor Center. I'm not up that way very often, but any thoughts or on that?
I think it's actually closer. It's this side of Wellsville, between Wellsville and Ottawa. I think it's actually in a pretty good place.
Well, yeah, the opportunity, if it's still there, is closer. I'm talking our current one is outside of Wellsville near the county line.
I didn't think so.
Oh, is it not?
It's not.
It's very nice sign.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is, it's between the county line and the Wellsville exit.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this sign is lighted, be lit at night. It's probably twice as big as the one up by north of Wellsville. And it's on the southbound side of I-35 near the 59 or new 59 takes off. So I know when I was on the board at the Visitor Center, that was one of the complaints when they put in the new 59 exchange there. They took away the Visitor Center sign that was right at that location, and now there's an opportunity to get one back close to that interchange again.
You know, it compares price-wise?
We haven't discussed price because we wanted to know first if there was any kind of need. I understand this wouldn't be a county thing necessarily, but Paul, do you have any thoughts on that, or? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there. FCDC, depending on price, might have an interest in that as a way to I've been thinking about putting something up along the interstate as we have workforce coming and going, and getting people to live here in Franklin County. So there might be something, depending on price and that kind of thing, that FCDC might have an interest in taking that spot. So if the county's not interested.
Okay, I appreciate that, Paul. Any thoughts?
I don't know the availability now, because the owner of the sign was gonna check with a new RV place out at I-35 and 68 about maybe taking over that sign too, so.
Well, as of last week, later last week, there was availability, but yeah, I don't know if it's still there today. But absent more feedback, sorry, Colt, did you chime in? Did I hear that?
Oh, no, I didn't. I was still listening.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think what I'll do then is link Paul up with this individual and see what they can work out.
And if it turns out it's not in your budget, then let us know, because if it's a great location and, yeah. All right.
Okay. And I'm sure you're gonna hear from multiple of my staff members about this today, because I know they have been as well, but a lot of my time this week, most of my time been dedicated to the storm and the after effects of it. Yesterday, spent a good chunk of time with Christy, primarily trying to assist the city of Ottawa. I don't know where they're at as of this morning. As of yesterday, it was their hope that by day's end, they would have power restored to 80 to 85% of the folks here in town. They have several outside entities with crews in town helping them. Apparently, they have one up from Garnett, one down from Baldwin. One came in from Augusta, Kansas, actually, to help. So I know they're working hard to try and get it restored. Christie kind of facilitated a meeting between Ottawa and Red Cross, which I think has blossomed into a shelter. She'll be able to talk more about that, but do want to give her kudos. In Tom's absence, she has stepped in admirably, kind of led the county's charge from an emergency management perspective, and appreciate Tom Winter, because he's down in Alabama trying to vacation with his family, and we've had him on the phone every single day since the storm came through. So appreciate that. Appreciate our folks in Public Works, because I know that they have been out day and night. I know they're exhausted, but certainly working their tails off to help keep our roads clear and safe. And that, I believe, is all I have, Ian.
All right. Paul, you have more?
Just a couple things. First of all, I want to say thank you for the support for the Wellsville Chamber. They're really getting organized and made some progress in the last couple of years, and I'm going to lead a strategic planning session for them in September. So I'm excited about that. They've got a new president coming in, and so and the brochure is really going to be nice and something that hopefully will generate some traffic. And then I want to echo, I'm privileged to be officed in this building thanks to you all. And so I get to see firsthand all the effort and time that Derek and all the folks at the county spend caring about citizens and the hard work they do. And I know the hours they put in, especially the night of the storm at EMS. But the road work and the partnership with the city, like I said, I'm fortunate I get to see it firsthand, the work that these folks do. And I just want the public to know that they've really, really been working hard. And I know it's frustrating when you don't have power, but it's certainly not through lack of effort at the city and the county. So just want to tip my hat to Derek and the entire folks at the county and the EMS folks and the fire department here. Just everybody's just working really, really hard. So just want the public to know that I get to see that and feel privileged to live. It is a great day to live in Franklin County. I know it's frustrating for folks, but we've got fantastic county and city support. So just want to share that. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
I gotta run. Sorry.
Christie, come on up.
Good morning. I thought I would just give you an update of kind of the situation that we have in town right now with the storm. I think the best way to do that is kind of in a chronological fashion. So as we all know, Sunday evening, we had a storm that rolled through. While most of us were seeking shelter somewhere, I did have ambulance crews that were out in the midst of the storm at its height. That was in conjunction also with city fire, law enforcement, sheriff's department, county first responders, and it's evident that there's a lot of destruction when you drive around the city, and I understand it's not just Ottawa. Rantoul was affected as well, and it's in the county as well. Out of all of this, we did have one traumatic injury that was transported by ambulance and one medical emergency attributed to the storm that was transported by ambulance, and that was it. So that's rather a minor miracle in and of itself. We are still running a few heat-related calls, of course, medical devices without having power. We're getting some calls for those, but it seems like for the most part, those are starting to work themselves out. We have had community partners. ORC opened the cooling center that Derek had talked about. United Way was generous to open up the Carnegie Center on Monday. That stayed open till 8 o'clock at night. And we did have volunteers with our county fire that helped staff that to make it stay open later past their normal hours. Yesterday, they were able to close about 4:30 because Red Cross was here. So yesterday I worked with the fire chief with the City of Ottawa, and we had Red Cross here, and Red Cross has now established a shelter at the South Gymnasium at the Ottawa High School. And just the time frame of how quickly that came together, once we got the pieces in place, we had a representative of Red Cross in a meeting face-to-face within 2 hours. Once he mobilized equipment, maybe about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they started mobilizing equipment to get down here. And by about 5:15 last night, that shelter was open. So just watching how they coordinated everything and moved, it was quite impressive. Also, there are so many other agencies that have offered services that they're just too numerous to count at this point. I know many of the churches have opened their doors for cooling centers and just businesses and individuals, and it's amazing to watch how the community has come together.
Do you know have any idea how many they might have had at the shelter last night?
As of this morning, I am not sure. That was one of the things I'm going to work on finding out this afternoon is what the need was. They do plan on staying here through Saturday morning. They did say that we could extend that time frame if it was needed. But if the power gets restored, we can also cut that time frame short, but there would be ample notice when it would close. If they closed earlier, they have to give 24 hours notice.
Cool.
So,
Awesome, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
any other questions for me?
All right, thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
All right. Kyle, anything on from the sheriff? All right. Dustin, anything from you? All right. Have you guys been busy at all, David Lee?
Well, we had, our folks started going out right after the storm blew through Sunday night. And they worked, all of our blade operators were out as well, clearing roads and the roads that they could. Some of them had down power lines and that sort of thing, so we weren't able to get to those. But, so they worked into the early morning hours and then picked it up again early Monday morning. I think by the end of the day, all of the roads that I'm aware of, we didn't have any that were closed. We spent yesterday and will probably for the next week or so clearing up limbs that are hanging down and that have fallen and hanging on other trees. We're out with our boom truck taking care of those. And we've got all of our folks plus essentially all of the noxious weed staff out right now, taking care of cleaning up brush and tree limbs and that sort of thing, and making sure the travel way is safe and that these piles of tree limbs are disposed of properly. So yeah, we had worked quite a few hours, our folks did, and I think it has, again, been a good result. So that's all with the storm. The Osborne Terrace Bridge project is scheduled to begin on Monday morning. They're going to start clearing trees and that there's a lot of trees to clear on that project. So they're going to be working on that for about a week, and then they'll move into beginning the dirt work on the project, which will take several weeks to get taken care of. They are going to close the road through the project area, so there will be a detour around Louisiana up to Pawnee and back down on Eisenhower Terrace. And would anticipate that being closed most of the construction schedule, which is about 6 months, barring any unforeseen issues or weather delays. They anticipate opening that bridge during January sometime. So pretty aggressive schedule, and they're ready to get started. So looking forward to getting that underway. And that's all I have.
I'll tell you guys, we appreciate them.
Yes, ma'am.
They've been yeoman's this
Yeah,
week.
it's hot out there.
Yeah, and that's the other part of it. I mean, I go out and pick up, go out for about 20 minutes, and I'm done for a
Yeah,
little bit. and
right.
then, Yeah, all right. Janet? Nothing. All right, Dawn?
Yeah, I did attend the Wellsville City meeting last Wednesday. Most of their talk was on their budget, and hopefully they're going to do a revenue neutral too, the way it looks like. They're hoping to, and they're working towards that. And the police chief gave a report on all the people that has helped with their new police station as far as donations and for doing that police station. And I don't have the whole list, but there was quite a list of different organizations, kids organizations, churches, and so forth that raised money to put into that facility to upgrade the inside. And I know Home Depot was the one outside entity that did their countertops and supplied them with their big double-door refrigerator. And like I said, there was a lot of different organizations up there that donated funds to help with that project. And I haven't been up there for a week, but I did take some pictures. I'll bring them in. But they've already got the footing poured on the new ambulance station, and they already have the underground sewer lines run, and that was a week ago. So they may, look like they're really moving forward with it. Once we give the rubber stamp to it to go forward, they've really taken off and made real good progress starting with it. And like I said, the Rantoul down there, most people down there, I think right now, get their electricity back. The main thing was all the poles that were down from the city out to the water plant. And Rantoul does have their own water, but 90% of it they get from the rural district, and the same way with Lane. They get their water from there also. So it's pretty important for that whole part of the county. And I know they were down there last night, a lot of trucks working. And they had a whole semi-load of poles there the other day. So, just one of them things, you can't predict it's gonna happen or what's gonna happen, but it did happen. And I think that the community has come together and really moved forward with bringing us back to normal. That's all I got.
I don't have anything.
Colt, do you have anything to share with us?
No, ma'am.
All right, I had a virtual meeting of the KAC board last Wednesday. They are really pushing the LIVTR. Basically, LIVTR is money that the state has collected for the counties and the cities. And about 20 years ago, when the state got into a crunch, it was one of those things they were like, well, we just won't fund this. So basically they kept our money. And then now the state is in a very good position financially, but they are still keeping our money. And if they would release that money, then we would be able to not collect as, everybody complains about our property taxes. Well, the state, since the whole situation started, the state has kept over $3.5 billion that should have been distributed to the counties and the cities. It's in their budget every year. They just choose not to fund it. So we are just really trying to, get the word out to the public, because if we complain, they go, oh, yeah, but if the public starts to complain, then hopefully we hope that it might make a difference and we can actually start receiving the money that the state is not distributing, and then we would then be able to reduce our property taxes. You'll hear me say that again. So hopefully we can make a difference. The other meeting I went to was Thursday. I went to the hospital board meeting, and you probably maybe have heard or will hear. Our obstetrics baby delivery has traditionally been provided by Ottawa Family Physicians. They have not been able to recruit enough physicians that are willing to do that. So Ottawa Family Physicians has given the hospital a 6-month, basically they're saying in 6 months they will no longer be able to provide 24/7, 365 baby delivery. So it is something that is happening across the country, rural hospitals. It's harder and harder even for any woman to get an obstetrician. It's just something that is happening across the country. So it's something that, absolutely the hospital would love to be able to continue to provide baby delivery, but whether they're going to be able to recruit any more than the Ottawa Family Physician. So anyway, just something that down the road we might be dealing with. Other than that, everybody stay safe. And we do have our budget meeting. Just FYI, next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So if there's nothing else to come
The
before.
only thing I want to go through real quick, the public realize that when that money was pulled in 2003, our budget year runs January to January, the state runs July to July. So when they pulled those funds, we had already spent most of the funds that had been allocated to us, so we had to figure out a way to pull $500,000 from our budget somewhere because Road and Bridge, as you know, do most of their spending in the first 6 months of the year. So
Yeah,
that's statewide.
it is statewide. All right,
So moved.
thank you. We are adjourned.